Hello again. We are moving on to Unit 6 in our study. We're going to start off with Lesson 6.1 on experimental probability. So let's define some things first. Outcomes are basically just anything different that can happen when you conduct a trial. The frequency of an outcome is just how often it occurs. And the relative frequency is going to be how often that outcome occurs out of the total number of things that actually occurred. So it's more of a fraction that's between 0 and 1. All right, this is also called experimental probability. So those are the definitions. Let's look at an example. Let's say I toss a soup can up in the air 300 times. It lands on its side 230 of those times. It lands on the top 25 times. And it lands on the bottom 45 times. So all of that should add up to 300. So the experimental probability that this can ends up on its side is 230 out of 300. The experimental probability that it lands on the top is going to be 25 out of 300, and then the experimental probability that it lands on the bottom is going to be 45 out of 300. So the number of times that each event occurred out of the total number of trials that I had. All right, now we can also do this by estimating from some data that we've collected. Let's say that there's a table of cars that have been parked in a high school parking lot, and as you can see, I've broken it down in columns by the color of the car, and then I've broken it down in rows by the transmission of the car, whether it's manual or automatic, and I've totaled each column and I've totaled each row just for ease of use. So we're going to find the probability that a red car has an automatic transmission. So I look at the number of red cars, and that's 82. The number of those that have an automatic transmission is 57, so the probability is 57 out of 82. Find the probability that a car is blue, so any car. So I'm going to look at all of the blue cars. There's 31 with manual transmission and 77 with automatic transmission, and I need to count both of those. So that's going to be a total of 108 out of the 321 cars that are in the parking lot, and that's 108 out of 321. Okay, and the last question is, George drives a car with automatic transmission. What is the probability that his car is gray? So I look at all of the automatic transmission cars. Those add up to 223. That's the total for that row. The number of those cars that are gray is 89. So the probability that a car with automatic transmission is gray is going to be 89 out of 223. So there's just a brief look at experimental probability. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you tomorrow.